Hello, traveler. Welcome to the Lord of the Rings of Power TV series spoilercast and review based on the first 2 episodes. I'm your host, Dan the Gray Video Games, and with me is Bob Legolas Video Games.
Legolas is pretty cool. He does like something where he rides on the shield like a surfboard.
From GigaBoots.com. Dr. Aggro Gimli goes in here somewhere.
Gaslight, Gatekeep, Galadriel.
And Chris Wolfhard the Gray.
Okay, I'll take that one. I'll take being Gandalf.
It's really cool. You fight a thing, and no one can agree on what it looks like.
And then you read the Silmarillion, which nobody alive has, and if they say they have, they're lying.
This is gonna get awkward.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Aggro. Where it's like, well, there was just a shitload of those things. They were badass.
Hell yeah, they were. And they didn't have wings.
Oh no, if only I knew whether or not to believe Aggro on this. But yes, welcome. We watched the first 2 episodes of Amazon's original, The Lord of the Rings of Power, the TV series. I'd like to thank our co-hosts for watching this as well, so that way we can talk about it. Let's get to it. For people who havenent experienced one of our spoiler casts and reviews before, what we do is we, at the beginning, say a couple sentences sort of summarizing how we feel. We make a mouse sound that also conveys the emotion across. We go in depth with our conversation, talking about specific moments, plot elements, etc. And then at the end, we'll give a number score for the first 2 episodes of this series, because the format will not yield. We're going to start with Bob Legolas Video Games?
Something like that.
Bob, what did you think?
There's a ton of buildup with developing 12 different storylines at once. Not all that much happened, but it seemed fine. I'm gonna give it a
Chris Wolfhart the Gray.
There was a couple storylines in the 45 that they establish in these 2 episodes that I enjoy. And the others I kind of find boring, and also this looks way too cheap for $1 billion. So I'm gonna go.
Dr. Aggro Gimli.
I opened the streaming experience on this one, ready to be the big mad. And this show is fine.
And now I'll give mine. I like some of the storylines in this. I wish they moved faster. There are too many storylines for any one of them to move all that fast. This was only 2 episodes. This is lack of closure incarnate. I'm going to give Let's get to it. Black people. I'm serious. I wouldn't have heard a single fucking thing about this series if it weren't people on Twitter being like, did you know people are upset that there are black people in this? I'm like, they were awake. I don't.
That's true. That's true about anything that has black people in it. I don't know why it's especially relevant for the Rings of Power, other than the fact that Jeff Bezos is clearly funding these articles because there's nothing else to say about this.
Look, based on historical precedents of Middle Earth and historians talking about Middle Earth, I know no black people lived there or were none of those races. No.
So here's a funny thing.
Melanin isn't real in Lord of the Rings.
Here's a funny thing I discovered poking around the Lord of the Rings wiki.
Okay.
about Rings of Power.
What kind of power is it?
They gave away the game where it's like, yes, we have black characters, we have non-white characters, yada yada, but they're all original characters. Mm-hmm. Like they are so desperate, and this whole thing is they're so desperately clinging to, please think this has something to do with Peter Jackson, please be tricked, please be tricked, please be tricked. Like they can't make a Galadriel or like Elrond non-white because that would break the spell.
Mm-hmm.
And I even kind of feel like they got someone to be young Elrond that could plausibly age into being
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, yeah.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving, that could plausibly age into being Hugo Weaving. Because this whole thing is just, we're fucking desperate. Mm-hmm. We need you to think Peter Jackson is somehow involved.
Even though we wouldn't answer the phone.
right down to that thing that the showrunner said where they wanted this to be a 5-season version of the opening of the Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson movie.
But there's a few characters and events that they just can't mention because they didn't actually get the rights to the Silmarillion.
Yeah, they don't actually have the rights to that, but they have the appendices of Lord of the Rings, which mentions part of things, so they can use those parts and then make shit up.
This is the most horrifically corporatist statement I've ever heard in my life. They made this series because they have the film rights to the appendices.
Yeah, this is psychotic.
And
honestly,
like a song and a poem.
I so wish we could have gotten a just generic fantasy thing.
Mm-hmm.
It did no Lord of the Rings relation. Just get this sort of budget, and it could have been fantastic. I feel like the worst parts of this are parts where it has to be hard bound to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I was lamenting that this whole time, that like, wow, we're never going to get any cool fantasy thing with money that isn't a pre-existing property.
Right.
Ever again.
Yeah.
It's such a wide, you could do anything. You could literally do anything. Everyone's stolen these ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, we're stuck here.
So has anybody watched Game of Thrones? I have not.
I have not.
I haven't.
Watched most of it and I've read all the books.
Sorry, you were saying?
You can't make fun of me for reading.
Yes, I can. I'm an internet content creator. I believe my job title is YouTuber. I could be as dumb and shitty as I want.
Does Game of Thrones also have like 8 storylines happening concurrently in the show? Because Jeff Bezos, this exists because Jeff Bezos wanted a Game of Thrones, and I need to know how direct.
Oh yeah, that's a big feature of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and everything started adapting
okay.
that for sure.
Most
That's
large scale like epic fantasy novels are like that.
I mean, also,
Yeah,
really, you
but
can
it's
even go
different
back
when
as
it's like
far
a
as
show.
like the heroes and see that even it had like 4 concurrent storylines in a lot of cases. This, by the way, I counted 5. They're like 3
It starts
divisions.
with 4, and then one fractures into being 2.
Exactly. So, like, the way I view it, there are like 3 main divisions, and then from there, 2 of them get their own splits. Which I'm going to be honest, this is the neatest notes I've ever taken on anything we've ever watched on any podcast ever, because I was bored. I don't show up here to be a hater. I don't. I've gone into everything we've ever reviewed earnestly hoping to have a good time. And there are ways in which I enjoyed this more than the movies, and there are ways I enjoyed this much, much less than the movies.
I showed up to be a hater.
I know. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I expected this to be much, much worse. Like the fact that there were parts like, I like these characters.
It's like, oh, this is competent. Right? The fucking shit, like the dinner with Elrond and Durin, I'm like, oh, this is really sweet.
I'm like, oh, fuck these Harfoots. And then it's like, actually, no, they're fine. This is fine.
The main character of this show should have just been Elrond. And I don't just say that because Elrond is my favorite Lord of the Rings character.
Uh-huh.
But an important fact to bring in, and so that way the FTC doesn't come for us, or FCC. You have to disclaim your favorite Lord of the Rings character if you cover content.
But, he had a bunch of adventures, and he's cool.
He had adventure?
Well, I feel like of the 5 storylines, the one that most needs to be exercised from this show is the fucking Hobbit one.
The Harfoots, yeah.
Because, especially when I read interviews where the showrunners basically say, we don't know who that guy who fell from the sky is yet.
No!
Oh, God damn it!
No!
Not one of these.
No! You...
Because that's the only thing that makes that interesting.
This show is poison.
Oh, no!
Can't do shit like that.
Never seen someone come into one of these spoiler caster reviews and just napalm the scores with one tiny statement.
It was like, maybe it's Tom Bombadil.
No.
Maybe it's Gandalf. Maybe it's this person. Maybe it's that person. We don't know. And because we have 5 seasons planned, you're never gonna fucking know, and it might change.
I didn't know the whole plan for this to be 5 seasons long. I thought this was going to be 1 season that was like actually conclusive.
Oh no, they can't make the 20 rings and spread them out and have Sauron control people and do all that shit in 1 season, Bob.
Yeah, because with my very limited Lord of the Rings knowledge of watching the movies as they released and that's about it. So I don't remember the details.
For some reason in my mind, Bob is Peter Griffin. He's like, yeah, when we got to get around to doing the Lord of the Rings thing? We got what, an hour longer?
Bob at the first ending of Return of the King is like, there's like 10 minutes left, right?
God, no, like I was gonna fucking watch more of this, but no. If the showrunners don't know who that guy is, fuck this whole thing.
They were cagey about it, but the way they were cagey about it says to me that like it's a mystery box thing. It's a fucking J.J. Abrams shit.
Right. Because you have to build your mystery boxes. It was important before we had streaming services, and now it's even more important.
I'm like, if we're not at Lost levels of literally they haven't decided yet, then yeah, no, I'll keep watching this. But fuck,
Jesus Christ,
it's an emotional blow.
Yeah, that actually really sucked. Thank you, Chris.
So I guess we should talk about what the 5 story arcs
Sure,
are.
I have them written down. I can cover them real quick. So we have the Galadriel plotline that involves her trying to seek out Morgoth.
One of the classic girl bosses of fiction.
Well, she's looking for Sauron.
Sauron, right. What was the term they used to describe Sauron in rank compared to Morgoth? Like one of his highest or most devoted, and then they used a word commander or something else like
Probably
that.
lieutenant, something
I
like
miss
that,
a
yeah.
word. Anyways, yeah, she's trying to seek out Sauron, trying to find the last vestiges of Morgoth's evil influence.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
basically she looks at the camera and says, "I'm here to kill Sauron."
I love that they go to Dracula's castle like it's frame 1 with her. It's great.
Hell yeah. I have decided right at the outset that I'm going to view the Galadriel storyline like it's fucking RRR.
Okay.
That we're not like, you can't point, I don't think, at an appendice or a history of or a letter and go, Galadriel couldn't be here doing this because she was over here doing this. We don't know what she was doing, so we're just going to make up a bunch of insane bullshit.
I gotta say, I was really sad when they shipped her back home. I was hoping that all the people would betray her and leave, and she would just be out fighting, looking for Sauron. That would be what the show was,
Right?
Because we didn't introduce other characters yet before this. I was like, this could be awesome.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, there's a couple of these storylines. I'm like, no, this should have been the show. One of these.
Yeah, 100%. So the splinter off of that one is what was the name of the crafter? I need to check my Lord Celebrimbor.
Yeah, Celebrimbor, who is much less of a Chad in this than in Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, where he's your stand.
Yeah, I liked it. Just as soon as they introduced him, it was like, so now he has to build like 12 of these towers.
And Elrond's like, oh, what a lovely hammer. It's made so many beautiful things. And I'm like, in the game I was just playing, you brain orcs with that. I've always liked the Tolkien-esque view of elves, where it's like, no, every elf is a Giga Chad.
Yeah.
You don't fuck with elves. And it's also like, what Gandalf's the wizard, yeah. What's his strongest trait? The fact he's a master swordsman also.
But yeah, the Splinter storyline from the Galadriel stuff is, Lord Celebrimbor and Elrond trying to solve the problem of we need much more manpower in order to craft these. How can we do this? And Elrond's like, I can go confer with the dwarves, and then he knocks on the door and gets invited inside to do the rock smashing competition of dwarves.
Yeah, that competition doesn't exactly make a whole lot of sense, if we're being honest, because if you win, you get a request granted by the king.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose, you're banished from dwarven territory.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be like, if you lose, Elrond, we're going to kick you down that hole right there.
Yeah, I expected something a bit more dire.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I thought in the Lord of the Rings movie they said that dwarven women all had beards.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to check.
Yeah, literally no fiction will ever be brave enough.
Man, this is the most upsetting thing since Gears. Why don't they make the human women huge? They're supposed to be cogs, Bob.
I know, man.
Fucking goddamn cowards everywhere. Anyway, plotline 2 is Arondir and Bronwyn. And then there's the weird sort of side plotline / intrigue level where when Bronwyn returns to the village and before she comes back, her child Theo, finds the device, the hilt sort of thing with the sigil of Morgoth on it in the basement.
Sauron.
Was that not Morgoth's symbol? I thought it was Morgoth's symbol.
It's Sauron's.
Okay.
Yeah, Morgoth's dead.
He's like, I'm dead. I don't have a symbol.
I think that's the sword that gets broken at some point. I need to call out the elves for a second.
Oh, finally. Someone brave enough.
Because there's that plot point where the elves are like, humans are bitches. They help these guys, their ancestors sided with Morgoth. And I'm like, they sided with Morgoth because their fucking armies took down Sauron, and you forgot to mention Sauron could have mind control.
I thought that was fucking weird.
So maybe don't be such a judgmental prick.
No, they're elves.
Right?
Yeah, that's their job.
Excuse me, police. A human walked on in front of my yard. Oh, are they like on your property? No, they're walking in front of it.
That symbol, that glyph that Sauron keeps using,
Yes.
or they keep using for him. I'm pretty sure that's just a map of Mordor.
Oh, okay. It's not the monster logo. It's not
No,
okay.
he does not mind control with Taurine and Goron.
And the third and final plot point, major plot line, is Poppy Nori and the Harfoots, along with the giant, the mysterious giant, who could be anything.
Probably a Maiar.
I'm
what he
just going to
looks
be
like.
upset if he's Gandalf.
They were sort of like hard dropping that he's Gandalf, and I'm like, maybe that's misdirection.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hoping that's
Tom
misdirection.
Bombadil better be fucking be in this.
I mean, as far as I know, there aren't that many wizards in the Lord of the Rings, right?
There's 5.
Okay, so they don't have that many options.
Right.
Well, when you put it that way.
That's I hope it's randomly just one of the 2 blue wizards, and this storyline goes nowhere, and he wanders off into the east.
Oh, that would be good.
That actually would be really good.
I love storylines that go nowhere. Okay. I'm gonna call this now. Do you think the son of the woman that's the elf is courting is the son of Sauron?
I don't think Sauron can reproduce that way.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember Sauron having a son.
He's like a fucking weird angel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like an evil angel.
I saw a couple article titles that floated that maybe what's his fucking Kmart Aragorn on the boat might turn out to be Theo's father, but that's because we're 2 episodes into a series.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and people need to make shit up.
But yeah, it's like he's tempted by evil and we don't know the father. It could be anyone.
It could be anyone. It could even be the weird wizard giant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sauron never reproduces, but I mean, he might turn out to either it's just like the blade corrupts him, or he just straight up ends up. If that guy is his dad, I have money on that guy being the Witch King. So he might end up just one of the other 9.
Okay.
Or he just dies in like 2 episodes.
We'll see. Very early on in this franchise.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's really impressive that the inciting incident of, Galadriel's quest is her older brother, Alex Battaglia being murdered.
We'll never know how to set our PC game graphics again, guys.
Yeah, he was almost done with his Intel super sampling video, and it's never gonna get finished now. It's fucking awful.
It was so weird that like we're in Valinor, where everything's super awesome forever because it's basically heaven.
Super heavy.
And she makes this boat, and then these dick elf kids start hucking rocks at it.
Yeah.
And she goes to beat the shit out of one. I'm like, children, this is not a very Valinor attitude.
Yeah,
this isn't very Valinor of you, bro. Yeah, I thought that was a little strange.
What? Didn't they burn down the tree?
They showed footage of the tree burning because they don't have the rights to Ungoliant,
Oh my god.
who is the giant spider that birthed Shelob.
Okay.
Oh, that sexy lady? Oh, he's mad. He's really mad.
Look, all I'm saying is if you're going to fuck an 800-pound spider, just man up and do it. All right?
God.
Don't try to pretend that it's because of the hot lady part.
But yeah, just talking about the show in earnestness. There are visual elements of this that look excellent, and then they stand in front of a two-dimensional background plane. It's really weird how it ebbs and flows with like sharpness, clarity, really beautiful imagery, and then a 2D background plane. It's very, very strange. There are numerous moments where this happens, but it's the sort of thing where I would like to pretend, oh, Peter Jackson would have done that, but I can only do that because I haven't seen any of the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, I was like, those are known for their horrible CG, aren't they?
I mean, they're also filmed in 3D on mostly green screen sets.
Yeah.
Every behind the scenes I've seen for that is an actor having a meltdown because everything's fake and CG, and it's like, I can't deal with this. I like a lot of the plot lines in this. In fact, there's no one of them that I hate. So then it feels weird that I am frustrated by how slow everything moves because they have what is almost 5 whole plot lines. Just we get 10 minutes with each per hour, basically. And it's like,
Yeah.
I just want you to make instead of a series, that's all of these slowly. I would have preferred the story of each of these people told individually.
What's great is like I read a lot of fantasy books, so I'm like, oh my god, we got 2 people fighting an orc by episode 2. Man, we are moving at a clip.
I'm not sitting here wanting things to go fast for action's sake.
Like I didn't have to watch the entire Harfoot Festival.
Whoa.
Right? Yeah. You come from the realm of Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do find all the storylines really good. I am interested in them. I'm now frustrated by the Harfoot one because of what Chris said, but I do find that each of them has an interesting set of characters that interact in ways that I find compelling for fiction.
Yeah, none of them just feel like horribly acted either. Like I always expect that in these shows.
As somebody who had no idea that Elrond went on any adventures, I thought Elrond and Lord Celebrimbor was going to be the most filler, boring bullshit. And then they immediately go into Durin's domain. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, this is great too. This is fantastic. In fact, I feel like the only thing that is like I'm not in love with, which is super temporary, is just the end, Galadriel at sea thing. Galadriel at sea is not as exciting as every other timeline because there's only one person to talk.
Right. Who might be the Witch King?
Who knows?
But it looks like
God, that would really bother me because it is like the most severe version of the prequel disease of every single character is actually somebody really important.
Uh-huh.
Like I want what Aggro suggested, and that guy who fell from the sky is one of the irrelevant wizards.
I mean, that would be great. Honestly, the last thing I want is for it to be Gandalf. Like,
yeah, but it's probably going to be
Gandalf, and that sucks. I don't like that.
I've heard people saying like maybe it's a Balrog, and I'm like, I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
I was like, is that possible? Let me check with the people in the back.
I just got to reread this book real quick.
I know enough of the outside of the main trilogy Tolkien lore to like order in a restaurant and ask where the bathroom is.
I think Balrog are technically the same kind of thing that Sauron and the wizards were.
Yeah,
so I guess they could
Maiar
theoretically
level.
be in a human. They could theoretically be in a human form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my rough understanding, because with me, all Lord of the Rings understandings are rough. And I've seen the films twice. I found out I had too much ADHD as a child to watch the films. Took me until the third one to put that one together. I'm like, there's so many things happening on screen, but I'm bored shitless. Oh, I have ADHD.
So I love that, like, because as Chris was saying earlier, it's when we add diversity to this story, it's in all of the original characters.
Yeah.
And I feel like, man, what are two things? One, guys, come on, even if you're like actually racist, what are you complaining about? They have gone the hard other direction with the elves. Like, this is the whitest group of people. This is like the neighborhood in West Chesterton that regular white people aren't allowed in.
It's legitimately weird that we got all these diverse defendant with diversity takes, and I'm like, okay, this seems like it's like that new Call of Duty where they tried to get female protagonist buff, but then she wasn't the protagonist. Like, it reminded me of that. It's like, we want the diversity buff, but we have to keep in line with the Peter Jackson thing. We must trick you. It's all we have.
I was like, oh my God, show. Are all of the elves like this? That's worse. That's so much worse. You can't make the Super Giga Chad God race all white. Oh, thank God, there's a black elf. Oh, whoo.
Yeah.
A black elf who is getting shamed for his interracial relationship.
Yeah. It was really on the nose and kind of funny. I was like, this is great. I really like his actor. Like, his performance is superb in this. Like,
All the acting in this was stunningly fine.
Shit, I just realized, isn't he from Game of Thrones?
oh, is he?
Huh.
Well, then I hate him.
And here, time for the thing I said on a stream. Which, so there's this character. Let me get his name. This elf we're talking about's name, because I forget. Balior, Bronwyn. It's Bronwyn, right?
Yeah,
no, that's the girl.
No, yeah,
I was gonna say, I
Bronwyn's
thought she-
Arendir's love interest.
Arondir.
Yeah.
Every time I see Arondir, I'm like, hey, it's Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager. because he's the black Vulcan.
Oh my God.
Wait, he's
And
what?
I'm like, oh, they're yeah, the Vulcan in Voyager is black guy.
oh, okay.
So
All
I'm
right.
like, it's Tuvok because they both have pointy ears.
oh my God.
Yup.
And they're also like long in a similar way. How they have like that tall, long frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, my brain is broken.
See, I'm pure and innocent because I haven't watched Voyager.
Okay, feed me his name one more time.
Arondir.
Arondir, okay.
It's Arondir.
I keep expecting there to be an L in there somewhere. He had a scene in this series where he's crawling through a tunnel.
Yes.
And like it keeps getting worse. 'Cause he's crawling through a tunnel. Oh no, orcs on both sides. He crawls through a smaller tunnel with the rats. Then he dives into the water. And he comes back up against the roots, and I'm like, I'd just fucking kill myself.
Yeah, that's what you want. That was their teaser for next episode. So you want to go back, right?
I learned at a young age that I was not cut out for dungeon crawling.
One way, and this is, one might call this unfair. I'm curious what you guys think. One way in which I think the show suffers as a Lord of the Rings property thing is it doesn't have a memorable soundtrack in the least. Like, there's no songs that were just, this is a great song.
I kept waiting for the Lord of the Rings soundtrack to start.
I knew that shit wasn't
No, they don't
happening.
have that.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I guess they can't.
Yeah.
But I still, like, they hit the cues in the story that I was like, well, then you'd play it. You doing the big panning shot.
Yeah, it's like,
should play.
This is a drone shot of what appears to be Norway or something. I don't know. Where's the song?
Yeah,
We're in New Zealand, asshole. Played the song.
I imagine that this is going to be marred in the future by hitting moments where you go, oh, and then, oh, but we can't put that in this show.
Yeah, that's
Sorry, we've got the twins, but we can't have Magneto.
Oh, come on.
See, if you're listening to this in the far future, like 2025 or whatever. Oh wait, by 2025 there'll only be one more season because of how fucking long this shit takes to come out.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this in 2035, on your bombed out bunker, you found a flash drive somewhere with a bunch of our podcasts on them,
Good
or
for
you
you.
dug through the smoldering wreckage of Bob's house and found Dan's storage drives. And you have all our content.
Crawl through the tunnel. It's way too small.
Just go find the version of this that some fan will undoubtedly make where they mix in the actual Lord of the Rings soundtrack.
But if you did find this in the future, please go to patreon.com/GB Podcasts. If that's the thing that still exists, please give us money.
We're using our Patreon to fund the robot resistance.
One of us has become Christian Bale.
Agra's like, I have to go into the past. And I'm like, why? Because you found a way to defeat them? No, I want to fuck a white woman. It's like, because you're going to sire the leader of the resistance? No.
Are we implying that there are no white women left in the future?
Is this a plot point in one of the?
I mean,
Oh wait, is that happens in the first one? I've never fucking seen the first
that is
first
in
Terminator.
fact, that is in
Yes.
fact what happens in the first Terminator. By the way,
I've
fun
literally only seen Terminator 2.
fact, I've seen maybe a sixth of the first Terminator. I've seen every other Terminator. Is that not fucking weird?
It was pretty weird.
I mean, 2 kind of destroyed 1.
Right. Yes. Yeah. 2 is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That's unfair. Alien holds up better than Terminator 1 I experienced from the shore bit.
Yeah, and it's the same switch from horror to blockbuster. Yeah,
Horror to James Cameron.
Yeah, I haven't seen the original Alien, but I did like what I watched of the original Terminator.
Yeah, no, there's really cool stuff. You know, Schwarzenegger in that, he plays a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's actually scary.
Yes.
So back to Lord of the Rings. Sadly, we have to go back to it.
Watch out.
I really didn't like that the part of that dinner scene, which was otherwise good, where they transparently digitally shrank the dwarves, where it's like you turned them into like PS3 Vaseline models because you didn't want to do a complicated perspective shot like the movies. So you just like digitally scrunched them, and I'm like, this looks really bad.
I told Bob, I was like, at some point, you just put up the fucking series as 1080p. Like, don't upload it in 4K HDR if you're gonna have a 2-dimensional plane background and some effects that look a little iffy. But it's really good. There is a moment. I'm trying to remember the exact moment, Bob, but you know what I'm talking about. Where, okay, Galadriel shows who I've written down as Guy Elf. I assume it's Elrond. The symbol of Sauron. And 3 insert shots later, they're just on a cliff. Like, it's really weird. Like her nose, his wrist, and then a shoulder, and now they're at a completely different location walking and talking. And I'm like, what the fuck was this?
Yeah, that was the roughest thing in this whole series. I have no idea what was going on.
So yeah, that wasn't Elrond. That was the High King Elf or whatever. God, what is his name?
Gilgalad.
Did they say that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't been remembering any of the names. It's going to be a series, so I
It's a
always
lot.
just kind of just let him fly, and then eventually I learn them. Like, I know the face.
Every time I play that game, Silmarillion character or pain relief medicine, I still lose.
Elrond.
Hubbard.
Every time.
Yep.
Every time. Thank you.
I did like this series because they don't have the rights to stuff. They do a whole lot of like shout outs to stuff we can't actually show.
Right.
Like okay, well, we can't really do any of the cool shit that Elrond did. So, hey, we're going to make super sure we point out that he's half elf and everybody's kind of racist against him. Like when I can never remember Galadriel's brother's name because it's dumb.
I actually didn't catch it. I wrote down
I
everyone's
don't know if they said it.
Alex Battaglia.
Yes. Ex Battalion.
It's like Finrod or something like that.
I think that's right. Yeah. I think looking it up just now. I believe it was Finrod. Yeah, okay, it's Finrod.
When they show him like,
Yeah, her brother Ramrod.
when they show him laid out dead, they're like, oh, he swore to go hunt down Sauron, which I don't think is a thing he did. They show what looked like huge claw marks all over his arm.
Yes.
Which is a reference to him, dying to wolves in Sauron's dungeon.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. The people, this seems like another example of this thing exists because of horrible, sterile corporate mandate, but a bunch of the people working on it are like, okay, we have a slim opportunity to do cool shit here, maybe.
Hollywood will never be brave enough to make a Slayers live action television series.
See, Bob, you said that, and the first thing my brain went to was the Mystic Knights of Tir-Nagog. I don't know why that's the first thing my brain went to.
I don't know what that is.
But
you've never seen
the
Mystic Knights of Tir-Nagog?
That is when Saban decided we can make our own Power Rangers type show. It will be a fantasy series set in like a medieval thing where they turn into like magic knights.
This sounds awesome.
It's not.
It's not.
It is Saban, so obviously.
I had the sword from it. It was a cool toy sword.
I was like, he got the prop?
Yeah, red letter media over here. Just ordered a prop so he can destroy it.
Breaks it.
Damn it. Anyway. So we get to do cool things like go to Khazad-dûm before it gets all fucked up and see a ship going from the Grey Havens into Valinor. And I think we're going to hit up Numenor next episode probably. So we get to play around with all this cool shit that wasn't in the trilogy. And I think that's going to be worth it if nothing else. Like just getting to like reach in the toy box and pull this stuff out.
Just be like, look at this.
Even if we can't have some of the stuff.
Yeah.
No, that toy it's too nice for you. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say,
I want Ungoliant so bad.
as a casual viewer, this doesn't feel quite as unbelievably walk around the giant hole that is what we have rights to as I thought it would be for a normal pleb like myself coming in and watching it. I swear to God, that motherfucker better not be Gandalf, though. That is the last thing I want.
If
they make him anyone else, I'll be happy. They can make up a new wizard and I'll be okay with that. I bet that would piss you off, but...
Tremendously. But no, like as Chris pointed out, he could just be some other Maiar or equivalent thing. Some random one of those, sure, why not?
Yeah. Is Harfoot a pre-existing race in Tolkien?
Yeah, they're like pre-hobbits.
Oh.
Yeah, hobbits are pretty new, so
Oh.
Like I think Gollum was a Harfoot, right?
he was one of the river folks, so that's like between them and hobbits.
So what
if
you're
I'm
saying is the Hobbit was like a new thing. So when the Hobbit came out, that was like the iPhone for that time. Like it's like, hey, check this out. We got this new thing. It's a Hobbit. Check it out.
It was more like the iPod Nano. They're like, oh, look at that. It's really tiny and nobody gives a shit.
Okay, yeah, that's the vibe I got from the animated The Hobbit. You know, that was some shit. Why didn't Amazon spend the money to do a giant live action streaming series of The Hobbit?
We're bringing Bank and Raz back. Or
Yeah.
Rankin Bass.
Yeah, let's do it. Rankin Bass, fucking The Hobbit. We gave him $100 million.
What did he do?
We have proven we are the most irresponsible company on the face of the planet.
We gave him $100 million. Yeah. And I trained an entire team to hand animate a movie in the 70s Rankin Bass style. I need more money.
No, it's you got to fill it out the way he would. You know, some live action video that you've crudely rotoscoped.
Oh, not him. No, different.
Okay,
Different. God damn it.
whatever. The same guy, right?
The animated Hobbit is like one of my favorite adaptations. Fucking hate Ralph Bakshi so much.
Look, I'm just saying, if we do use the Bakshi method, we could make the runtime land and not go over budget. Guy on a horse, it could be a knight. Take a Sharpie to it. Bob, have you seen any of the fucking Ralph Bakshi shit?
No.
With fucking, they're like, okay, we've got.
Yes.
Huh?
You've seen Wizard.
Yeah, it was
I mean, he's seen Wizard, but like there are some other things that are much more egregiously. Here's footage of a guy on a horse, and we're going to draw over it because I think they do one shot in Wizard that's literally that.
Oh, yeah, they do a bunch of footage of and just color it. They don't do a lot of rotoscoping.
They did really rough rotoscoping. It's pretty funny. Anyways, we're getting really in the weeds.
It's 2 episodes and not a lot happened.
Really? Well, actually, a lot of things happened, but none of them too far.
Yeah, no conclusions at all.
We basically saw 5 explosions go off, but only a few frames of all 5 of them. We don't know how things are going to fall out from here.
All I'm saying is this would be better if it was Wizards, because then someone could have a gun. We would not see it coming.
Bob, this will be the single greatest streaming show ever made. If it concludes with that guy being Gandalf and he pulls a gun on Sauron.
I don't know if Saruman invents gunpowder or if he like gets it from somewhere else.
I'm sure I'm not the first person to complain about it, but I really hate that there's Sauron and Saruman.
You are not. Ralph Bakshi, in fact, is one of the people who complained about that. That's why he changed that character's name to Aruman in his movie and then forgot he did that halfway through.
Half of the scenes don't respect that change, right?
What?
I get to see this, apparently.
Yeah, Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings is it's a thing. It's a dark miracle.
If a
Who
film
did
could
the
be
animated Hobbit? Was that also Ralph Bakshi?
No,
that was Rankin Bass.
Yeah, that was Rankin Bass.
Okay.
But Ralph Bakshi's.
So I remember the version of the Book of the Hobbit I had was tied into that movie, so it just used like really high quality like screenshots of the movie as illustrations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I saw that at a library once. It was really impressive. But yeah, if that Bakshi thing had an analogy in real life, it would be abandoned Kmart.
Because he gets through 2 towers and we just sort of cut it.
That's so good. And that is how it ended. He yelled at the top of his lungs.
Like you can hear him running away from the microphone because he ran out of money and he doesn't want to get caught.
Anyway. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed the performances. Really liked the cast of characters. Really interested in all the plot lines, despite thinking I wouldn't be. I'm excited for the first thing that happens with Galadriel that isn't on a fucking piece of driftwood.
Yeah, the opening with her is great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this is the first time where I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have picked a weekly release for this one. Maybe you should have just slopped it all out.
Yeah.
I will say that opening sequence with Galadriel, because I mean, it's a Lord of the Rings thing that they're just making up, and I haven't gotten to nitpick much at all.
Okay.
The Lord of the Rings, I mean, because they're aping Jackson's version, and that one is famous among insufferable people like me for having really good arms and armor. And she rolls up in this movie with a giant fucking sword on her back.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
Yeah, there is like largely this show does not seem super cheap. It does seem a little bit cheap. But there's just this energy of like, I can sense the not caring as much as Peter Jackson, who's like, I found an ancient blacksmith to make the chainmail for my costume.
Right. What a workshop ain't here to hold our hands.
It's like, they could be. This cost $1 billion.
Actually, I think they're owned by Unity now, aren't they?
Oh, God, are
Yeah,
they?
yeah. I think they were bought by.
What is Unity going to do with Weta Workshop?
I don't know. Something for the U.S. military, I bet.
Fucking Air Force calls up Unity. Hey, can you make us swords that glow when orcs are near?
This might be relevant in the near future. Wait.
Oh, man. They wouldn't ask for one that glows when orcs are near, and we all know it.
No, I'm thinking of exclusively the CGI effects on the Lord of the Rings film company, which I do not remember the name of right now. I thought that was Weta. Evidently not.
I mean, Weta made the bigatures in
Yeah, they did a lot
Lord
of
of the Rings
stuff.
movie.
I mean, the like non-software stuff.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
I was about to get a bunch of VFX artists in my mentions. Fuck you, man.
we know your job is hard. We also saw this show.
Yes, your job is very hard, and we appreciate it, but we also wish you just weren't here.
Have you considered buying a bunch of tools and learning how to craft things?
But then we would have unions.
I know. Unfortunate, right?
Oh, man. Okay, yeah, it's Weta Effects. So there you go. Weta Digital. There you go. They bought that for $1.63 billion.
We got 2 Wetas. All right.
Yeah, apparently we have 2 Wetas. Anyway, let's wrap this up. People are going to give their full Silmaril? Their full Silmarillion Selma Millionaire review. And then I give it a score 1 to 10 of these 2 episodes of a streaming series that will go for 10 years. This is a good plan. Woof. How many rings are there?
Like 20.
20.
Okay,
Yeah.
1 to 20 score. These 2 episodes. We're going to start with Bob. Bob, what's your review?
This was all right. I didn't hate it or anything. It's a little slow, but I like the characters, and I think it could be neat. Are we actually doing 1 to 20, or are we doing just the regular 1 to 10?
I would like to do 1 to 20 to underscore how incredibly farcical this entire thing is. Go.
Okay. God, okay. Was
Just
it going to be
multiply it by 2.
I guess a 14 then?
Great. That's a big number. Thank you. Thank you. Let me type this into a notepad document and then close it without saving. Chris Wolfhart, the Gray.
Yeah, this is fine. Like, I don't feel particularly motivated to watch anymore, at least not until the fucking season's over and I can be like, we can skip some parts that aren't about Elrond or Galadriel. We don't need to see all of the rest of these scenes. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a combination of the 3 rings for the Elven Kings and the 9 rings for the mortal men doomed to die to give it a 12.
Dr. Aggro, Gimli.
I, deep in my heart, still have not let go of I read the book and this adaptation is shit. Only for the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
It still lives in there. I can't get back into the nook it's in to excavate it.
Okay.
So I really did think that this was just going to be me being shitty about this series.
Oh, yeah.
And it turned out that the Galadriel stuff is just ridiculous enough to be like, this is great.
Okay.
So I'm going to give this show Nenya.
Okay. And yeah, the show is pretty good. It's just on this side of completely neutral for me. It's a positive experience. I wasn't sure it was going to be one. Love the performances, love the cast. Just wish it was moving a little faster. If we could just get one of these storylines at a time, that would really help me. Because I hate having the opposite of closure, open-ture of
Sure.
all of these open nation, no feeling of all these timelines going at the same time. I'm going to have to give it the same score as Chris Wolfhart for the same reason 3 rings of some other fucks and 9 of those other dudes. I'm going to give it a 12. That brings our score to... Oh, that's weird. The add function doesn't work. That's weird that the add function and the average function just broke like that. That's very
what
strange.
happens when you work with soft magic systems.
God.
Call Brandon Sanderson.
Wait, is magic or is math a magic system?
I mean, magic is probably a math system.
This is a very illegal line of thought you're going down, Bob. we have to move on before the government catches wind of our discussion.
This month's GigaBoots videos were brought to you by the continued support of our executive producers, such as Esme, E. Lee Broyles, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, Burning Pepsi Man, Adam Admar, Cooper Tank, and Virmvarm. Thank you very much to our executive producers, and also these gamers. If you want to support GigaBoots so we can continue the content crunch, then head on over to patreon.com/GigaBoots today.